Hi everyone. So we have another rum from a Danish independent bottle called Nobilis. Now, Nobilis was founded in 2021 by an ex-employee of 1423, which is, well, everybody knows 1423 by now. They're also from Denmark. And Ken Outzen was a member of the Danish Coroni fan club, and in 2019 and 2020 he had done some special bottlings for the club, probably Coronis, I'm not entirely sure. And apparently the success was so great that he decided to establish his own company, which he called Nobilis. And it's been in existence ever since, and they are essentially an independent bottler, much smaller than 1423, but they're still alive and kicking and making some very interesting stuff. And at the very beginning, in 2021 and 2022 and 2023 in particular, they produced a series of rums that were simply off the scale. I mean, the very first rum that they did was an Enmore, I think. Ooh, what was it? It was a 32-year-old at 49%. And a lot of the rums that they made were double-digit rums. Like, they were more than 25 years old, less, between 25 and 35 years old, and that was really quite exceptional back in the day, because those things really cost a lot of money. And of late, in the last 3-4 years or so, they've kind of started to go down a little bit to 17-year-olds, 8-year-olds, 10-year-olds, 12 or whatever. But they still do on occasion produce something off the scale. I think there's one coming out fairly soon that's a 34-year-old Jamaican, for example. I mean, you just want to try stuff like that just because it is so old, right? And they have produced or issued bottlings from Ecuador, from Montebello, from Guyana, Jamaica, Trinidad, St. Lucia, Fiji, Barbados. So most of the rums that they've done, I think they're up to number 50 something by now, are from Jamaica and from Guyana. But as I say, they do have from other countries as well. This one is Guyanese, and it's a very interesting piece of work. It was, it says Diamond Distillery, but it really isn't. It's a blend of rums in the barrel, 8 years old, and it's a blend of the Port Morant and the Demerara Highest, the DHE mark, which is what is used to make the Guyanese Superior High Wine that they drink solely in Guyana. And the high ester still, the John Doerr still that is at Diamond, they tend to make a little bit in that still, and then they kind of use it to just flavor up some of the other marks that they have, most importantly the standard aged expressions like the 8, the 12, the 15, and the 21, which is their standard lineup. All right, so what do we got here? We have an 8-year-old rum that is a blend of two marks, and interestingly enough, although it doesn't say it on the label, it has been fully matured the entire 8 years in ex-Oloroso casks. So that tells you a lot of the sort of thing that you're going to expect from the rum. And indeed, when I poured myself a glass quite a long time ago, and I'm still having it on the go, there is a lot of that sort of thing all over the place. Both the age and the Oloroso casks do tend to make a statement for themselves here. So when you nose it first, the initial notes and aromas that you're getting are of rotting, dark forest floors that are damp and have that aroma of vegetation that's just going off, and that kind of goes through the entire profile. It's dark, it's deep, it's got prunes, it's got ripe fruits, overripe oranges, brown peeled grapes, prune juice, that kind of thing. And there is a bit, of course, of that red wine, portish kind of flavor to it too, although to my mind that kind of takes over the thing. You're not actually getting a whole lot of the Port Morant here, nor are you getting a lot of the sharpish strawberries and sharp pineapple notes of the high ester. That's kind of subsumed a little bit into the overall profile, but it's still actually quite good. Well, at 54.3%, you're not going to suffer too much for it. It's very, very sippable. It's very, very nice. It's actually quite dry in its own way. There is a fair bit of wood in there, and you get that sense of port-infused cigarillos that I used to smoke in my misspent youth. And again, you've got the ripe fruits there, particularly rotting orange peel and guavas and overripe mangoes, some papayas, that sort of thing, all of which are just, you get that honey-like note of stuff that's just gone off a bit too much. You're not getting a whole lot of sawdust or cardboard or freshly cut sawn lumber of the sort that kind of characterizes Port Morant, nor are you getting any kind of licorice in here, which is not to say that it's not good in and of itself. It really is quite nice. Yeah. Um, but you are getting a bit of the bitterness of tannins here in a way that is actually quite surprising for something that's only 8 years old. The finish is reasonably long. It lasts a fair bit of time. You know, it's got some sandalwood, some cinnamon, nutmeg, that kind of thing. The fruits are still there. It is dry. It's a bit sharp, and that bitterness kind of keeps in there. And I think that may be its downfall because I can't really score this more than 84 points. I think it's a really nice rum in and of itself, in the sense that I do like Guyanese rums, and I kind of like Port Morant more than others. But over and above the score, one of the reasons I don't give it more than 84 perhaps is a feeling of my own in this particular instance, because what we're talking about here is the expectations raised by the label's promise. And here, what you're being asked to understand is that you're going to get some Port Morant profile, which I like. You're going to get some high ester stuff, as if it was like a quasi Jamaican, which is kind of neat for the top notes and the sharpish fruity stuff, which you don't. And you are going to get some of that winey background, which you do. And to some extent, this illustrates a little bit of the danger of reading too much into the label and calibrating your expectations on that basis. Like, do you actually get what the label promises, or will you simply judge the rum on its own merits, whether it's good or bad? Well, in this particular instance, I kind of like took my expectations out of the equations, and I've tasted it 2 or 3 times to just say, okay, does it succeed or fail on its own merits, whether or not I knew what it was? To some extent, yes. I think it's a little bit too sharp. I think the bitterness of the tannins is a little bit too much, and nothing that I've tried since then suggests otherwise. It mellows out after you've had a few sips and so on, but it's still there. And to some extent, I think if you want something a bit more mellow, as something a bit darker, deeper, whether it's Spanish style or otherwise, or the true Port Morant style, or the Demerara Distiller stuff that the Eldorado line tends to give you in spades, this may not be entirely a thing. I think 84 points is just about right to give it to that. There really isn't much more to say about it, except that Nobilis is a company that is, in this day and age when the spirits market is drying up all over Europe because of the expensive ingredients and everything else that's going on in the world. But I don't know the price either, unfortunately. I think it's worth a buy if you can. Don't pay too much for it. I would not pay over 100 euros for this thing. 8-year-old, blend of interesting marks and so on. But for what it's worth, I will score it as I have. I think it's a reasonably decent rum, and it doesn't do anything particularly bad. But given the high standard that Nobilis themselves set all those years ago when they started, to this, it seems like just a little bit of a letdown. But I'm sure they're going to find extra old 30-plus-year-old rums to intrigue the palate in years to come, if not actually this year. So I look forward to that. And that's pretty much where I'm going to stop this particular short review. That's it for now then, and I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any comments, please let me know. Otherwise, we'll talk again the next time. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.